So, I'm standing at the corner of River Street and Oak Street in Depot Town, Ypsilanti, Michigan, in their historic district. And I'm here in front of a really cool house. It's called the Hutchinson House, and it was built in 1902. And as you can see, it's a Queen Anne style house with obviously some Tudor and probably some Craftsman and some other things mixed in. It has 33 rooms. It's a great house. 33 rooms, an orchestra loft, ballroom, indoor swimming pool. Also had a one of the first elevators, residential elevators, is all in this house. But that's not why this house is so cool. This house is really cool for a whole nother reason, and I'll tell you about it. So come on. Okay, as I said before, this is the Hutchinson House, and it was built in 1902 for $100,000. The house was built by Shelly Byron Hutchinson, and Shelly Byron Hutchinson was the founder of the S&H Green Stamp company. Actually, he was one of two founders, the other one being Thomas Sperry. They were both partners. Sperry was the S in S&H, and Hutchinson was the H in Hutchinson. Anyway, you're probably, if you were born after 1975, you probably think I'm from another planet from what I'm about to tell you. What was so huge and ubiquitous in culture back then is something called the S&H Green Stamps and their books. And what it was this, in a nutshell, is it's a customer loyalty program. And businesses would buy these stamps and give them to customers if the customers bought some goods. Mostly they were grocery stores and gas stations. And you would then get these stamps and collect them. The stamps look like this. And then you would take those stamps and put them into a collector's book that looked like this. And each one of these books had 24 pages, and each page had enough room for 50 stamps. And there were some different denominations, but if you filled up one whole book of stamps, it was worth 1,200 points. And then you would go shopping in an S&H Green Stamp idea book that looked like this. Or you would go into one of S&H Green Stamp's 800 outlets to shop for goods. So it was like buying stuff in a catalog. And it was everywhere in our culture. It was huge. I think there was a Brady Bunch episode once where the boys and the girls were trying to figure out what they were going to do with their green stamp books. I think the boys were going to buy a rowboat and the girls a dollhouse or something like that. That's probably really sexist, but that's all I remember. Anyway, but it was everywhere. Everybody knew about S&H Green Stamps and everybody collected them. The company went out of business though because in the 70s, really big in the 60s. In fact, I think the S&H Green Stamp Company printed 3 times the amount of stamps that the US government did for postage stamps. Anyway, the 70s came along and the economy got weird and you had to collect a lot more stamps to buy even an 8-track tape player. So it got to be not a very good deal anymore and the company slowly went out of business. Somebody actually owns the rights to it now, which ought to be interesting. But anyway, about this house though, is Shelly Byron Hutchinson builds this house in 1902 because they're making scads of money, but he makes a lot of bad investments, and within 10 years he loses the house to public auction. It's actually auctioned for $12,000 in front of City Hall down on Michigan Ave and Huron Street in 1912. In 1913, Thomas Sperry dies and his family takes over, his heirs take over the company. They kind of force Shelly Byron Hutchinson out of it and run it for a long time. Anyway, so I think this is a cool story. It's a great house. It's a cool story about a house. And if you want to see more of these mini documentaries, visit our website. Buddy Morehouse and Brian Kruger both have this website. And it's called stunt3.com. And there's a lot of mini docs out there. And I think you'll really like them. So until next time, we'll see you then.